There we go. Okay. Okay, I'm going to officially start this because it will be here for like about an hour or so. So thank you guys for being here. I'm sure other people will join here in a bit. First of all, I want to explain the format, the new format of the podcast. Maybe some of you have heard the first episode of season 2 already, which was last week. So I'm going to make it a little bit more structured this time. First of all, we're going to begin by taking a few breaths to just center ourselves, like in meditation. So we're going to do that. And these are 6 pointed breaths, okay? So you're going to imagine as if there was a lotus flower, okay? And it has 6 petals, and there's two that going like up and down. That's two. And then you've got one on the right, one going out on the side. There's another 2 petals, and you got the other two are from the front and the back. So you're going to imagine that you're breathing in and you focus on a center point. It could be your pineal gland, it could be your heart space, your azure, which is in the thymus gland, maybe solar plexus, the root chakra, whatever you want to focus on. And you're going to breathe in that all the air that you're breathing, you're going to breathe it into the center of the lotus flower. Okay, so in the in breath, you're going to pretend that you're going to imagine, sorry, that the lotus petals are closing like this. And at the out breath, you're going to envision them opening up like this. So the air is going to go like, you're going to go like this. Okay. So, I mean, this is really cool about this app is that you can show people how to do this kind of stuff. So let's do this together real quick. We're going to do 6 of these breaths. Okay. So here we go. You can close your eyes if you want as well. Ready? 1, petals closed, petals expand. Again. Here we go again. One more time. And we said we were going to do 6. Let's do 6. One more time. And you can do as many as you want. I like doing 3 or 6, to get started. Welcome, Mick. How are you today? So we were just doing a few breaths to, relax, be centered, kind of set the mood, and So we're going to be talking about a specific dream I had this week because I thought it was really interesting. That's what I want to start out with because yeah, so lately around here, just also to talk a little bit about the atmosphere. It's been really quiet and nice. Like I feel like a lot of things have changed. Like in my immediate surroundings, things are definitely less chaotic and. Regardless of what's going on in the world around you, you can always have it so that your immediate reality is peaceful, and it's this learning of how to be in the eye of the storm, really. So I felt like I've sort of, I'm going to say sort of, because there are moments where I feel everything's a little chaotic, but for the most part I do feel like I can be in the eye of the storm. And it's all through meditation, right? Really learning how to find that peace within yourself, within your 0 point or your azure, or there are many different names for what you could call the center point, and I like to focus on this area in my chest, right? It could be the heart space as well. I like to focus on the entire area and just breathe in. Like for the breath we just did, I normally focus it there, or you can also even do it with your whole body, like really. So yeah, and I've been practicing a few techniques. I've been doing some observations. So I'm being like really applying the scientific method with what I'm doing here. And I'm hoping to have something to share in the next few weeks or so. We'll see how it evolves. But I do want to have like I was saying in my live earlier, if you guys want to check it out on Instagram, is that I want something structured, that I can eventually offer as a course, or something that can be useful for people to help them retrieve a valuable information through their dreams. Because I've always said this, since I can remember, is that dreams are just so valuable in terms of information, and for healing, for improving our relationships with other people, for solving problems, even. And so this is leading into what the dream I wanted to share today, because in one of these days I was trying to figure out how to structure this podcast and how to name the next episode, and I was feeling kind of stuck, so sometimes when you feel like this, it's nice to ask a question right before you go to bed, and you will usually get the answer right after, either in your meditation, or during the dream, or the next day you will get the answer as well. And it's, for me, this is the way it's been out picturing. So it's really cool. And so what I did was I did these techniques that I'm still, like I said, testing. And that night, I dreamt that I was in a house with my psychology professor. Like, she was living in that house, and then she was also with her husband. And so I was like, well, why am I in their house recording this? But I was like, well, I guess this is where I'm going to be doing this, right? But there was a reason for that. And it's interesting because of the psychology aspect, and what they represent to me. These people, I really appreciate them, and I feel like they have lots of valuable information. And I've been working on finding this balance between spirituality and science, which I find is a little difficult to find, in material that we have out there. So the fact that they were there was like, for me, it's like that balance was being outpictured in that dream, that balance that I was really looking for in this podcast. And so yeah, and at some point, one of them, her husband, was actually falling or something, and I was like, oh, don't fall. Like, I was trying to hold his hand. So that to me was like, oh, I'm still holding some, I guess I still feel like there's an imbalance somewhere, and I'm trying to figure out like how to fix that or something. So I was like, oh yeah, that's probably why that happened. But then also what happened was that I was recording this, so just like I am now, around me there was like music playing, and there was another person in the room making noise, and I was like, ah, and I kept moving around trying to find a good spot, and I couldn't find one, and it was so chaotic. And then I had like 51 people in the room, and I was like, this is overwhelming. But at the same time, I'm like, okay guys, bear with me, I'm trying to find a spot. And finally I found a spot to record it. But I was like, yeah, this is going crazy. And then it didn't even have a title, and I'm like, oh, I was like scrambling around trying to put a title. And that's exactly what I was like feeling before I went to bed. And the title that came through was very simple. It was just dream interpretation. So I'm like, okay, so I guess there's not really a specific title for every single time. There's not going to be the same theme every single time. But I did feel like there was going to be this main thing that I was always going to be offering to people with this podcast. Hi, Truthful. How are you? Thanks for jumping in. And so, what happened in the dream was that I was offering this space for people to share their dreams, and I could, give them tips on how to interpret them, even if it was short, because a dream interpretation session normally can last a really long time, and it's a constant like dialogue back and forth between people, but between the therapist or the dream analyst and the person, in order to really get those symbols and the meanings and the associations that the person will have with the words and everything. But I found that I did an event like a couple weeks ago. It was actually, it worked out pretty well. Like, just doing like mini, like 10-minute interpretations with people, just to give them a few insights on what the dreams could mean and what messages they could get from it, to think about it later on, and maybe do further dream work afterwards. And this is something that we can all learn to do ourselves. We don't necessarily always need another person, but it is nice to have another person to bounce back and forth, with the ideas. And sometimes I was saying this yesterday to someone. It's like, yeah, I feel like I can easily interpret or tell what the message for a person is in a dream, but when it's about me, I get blocked, and we get all our filters and our wishes and desires get in the way. So I'm like, that it's always nice to have another person to kind of share that, and it gives you also more insights when you're saying it to another person. But then also the other person has a completely different perspective that you might be missing, that you might not be able to see because of those all those filters and stuff. So yeah, and I was like, yeah, that's something that I would definitely like to do. The second half of the show, I'll dedicate it to sharing stories or dreams or visions, anything that has, anything else that's not related to this realm that we perceive as solid, basically. Anything that's very difficult to explain with our senses, like our main basic five senses, because we have more senses. I don't know if you guys are aware, maybe a few of you are, but we have what is called higher dimensional senses. So, for example, one of them is telepathy, and it has other names that are more like more technical. I forget, but it involves telepathy or bilocation, or having the ability for your consciousness to be simultaneously in another spot, and even the image of your physical body. All these things that we're supposed to be able to develop the more we activate our DNA. And dream state, also the experiences we have through dream state are way more enhanced when you start activating yourself and really doing that internal work in order to get these important messages that are in those dreams. And like I said, it doesn't have to necessarily be a dream. It could also be a vision that you got, right? So all of these stories, that's what I'm interested in sharing in this space, is all these stories that are very difficult to explain, with just our five senses. So yeah, that's going to be the next half of the show. I'll bring up some people. You can participate with video, without video, it doesn't matter. What matters here is whatever you want to share. So, and hi Wendy, welcome. So yeah, and so I wanted to continue about this dream, right? So I was thinking that was very pertinent. Actually, I really did get an answer to what I was asking for. So people say, "Ask and you shall receive," right? But there's also another thing. The universe will only give you the information that you're either ready to receive or that you're meant to receive in that moment. It will never tell you something or spoil the surprise for you, because the universe wants to surprise you. The universe wants you to be happy. There's so many things in store for you, but it's not just gonna spill out all the information. What's the point? It's like the spoiler in a movie. People tell you how the movie ends. You're like, oh, what's the and then you might it might even also change the way that your journey out pictures. So you're going to do things differently if you know everything beforehand. You might start changing that timeline and not having things happen differently than how it was originally planned, let's say. But we all have the possibility of rewriting our future. It's not in stone. When you get a card reading, or when somebody interprets a dream with you, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's the way it has to be. It's just all these things and messages are pointing you to something that you have to look at, or something that might happen based on the energy, the current energy, right? So yeah, and I also did say that I wanted to do an energy reading of like just the collective, and I was waiting for more people to hop on to do that. So that's cool that you guys are here. I usually wanted to do that at the very beginning, but I think now that I'm looking, I'm like, I'm gonna wait for people to jump on before that. But yeah, so what was I saying with this? Yeah, so basically, when you have these dream interpretations, right? It's like I was saying, you won't get things that you don't need to know. So we also have to be comfortable with not knowing sometimes. For example, yesterday I asked a very specific question. I wanted to jump into a future timeline and see who this person who's there. Apparently, there's a person who's supposed to come into my life in 6 months. And I've been getting that message here and there and from different people. And I'm like, you know what, show me this person, and of course, I did not see the person. I was in this dream that had a more important message for me, which was I was in a race. I don't know if Ray is here. Oh my gosh, Ray just jumped in, guys. How? That is such a huge synchronicity. I'm telling you, this life is like has been like a movie for me. It's very magical. Like once you're like, you start tapping into these you get like these drops of information. And I don't know why I just decided to ask if Ray was here, and he just jumped in. Because Ray, I wanted to say you were in a dream I had. I mean, at least your presence, because and a lot of you were in there. Like I'm pretty sure. I think Wendy was there. Truthful was there. Because I was hanging out with you guys yesterday, and in another show, Bunny was there. He's not there right now, but he was there. Dale, and I was like running this marathon, and towards the end, before I got to the finish line, I had to grab a bike. So as if it was a triathlon, but it was not, because the finish line was like right there. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll get on this bike. And then I fell, I got hurt somehow, and I got like my bones broke or something. I was like completely injured, and but I was still able to get through the finish line somehow, and the race, and then I figured out that I had run for even further than what I was supposed to. Like I had already passed the finish line, and I had gone even further. And I'm like, yeah, there's something to look at there in terms of how I'm doing things lately. And dreams often communicate images to us that we have to take either as metaphors, or sometimes it can form yeah, certain words, like what's this word, rebus, when you have images and they form a phrase. Like for I love you, it would be letter I, a heart, and then a U or something like that, or an I. Like, yeah, it would be the picture of an I, and then love with the heart, and then a U. That's how dreams work a lot of times, is like you get these images that will make up a phrase or something that doesn't necessarily mean what you think it means literally in the dream. So you get to like learn how to read your messages and interpret them based on that language, because dreams do have a specific language, and it varies from one person to the next. So that's why dream interpretation is like I've been saying, it's like an art form. You can't just be like, oh, that's what it is for everyone. It's the same. Every symbol is going to have a different meaning and emotional charge for everyone. So yeah, just wanted to say hi to Kevin and James and Calvin as well. I already said hi to Ray. And so yeah, and then what was I gonna say? So anyway, I ended up, afterwards I was talking with you guys, and then what happened? Yeah, it just ended like it weirdly. I didn't really I understand it very well right away, but then I was thinking about it. When you sit down and you can meditate on it, or just while you're laying in bed, before you get up, you can like stay with your eyes closed for a little bit and really integrate those symbols. And I started getting these messages as to how I should maybe change a little bit the way I'm doing things lately, in terms of how I'm spending my energy. So yeah, that was, a very important message, more important than seeing this guy that's supposed to come into my life in 6 months. I was supposed to know this before, anything else. So yeah, that's just to say, right, that you won't always get the answers you're expecting, or you might get them but later on. And so here's the funny thing. What happened in the morning was that I got a message from a girl I know on Instagram, and she does card reading. She's psychic, and she hadn't responded to a message I sent her like maybe 5 days ago or 3 days ago. It wasn't that long ago, but for me, it was like I had already forgotten about it, because in a part of the message I told her, I do feel like there's someone coming into my life soon or something, and she never confirmed it, and so I was like, oh, well, maybe not. And this morning she wrote me, I feel like someone's coming into your life. So I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. I didn't get the person in the dream, but in this dreamscape, because it's all a mass dreamscape as well, the way this reality is created is literally the same way we create dreams. Just like you think you're participating in your dreams, you're also participating in this reality as this is your hologram, basically. Everything that's stored within you is out pictured here. So it's all interconnected. And in the morning, I get that message. So I was like, oh, that's really funny. Anyway, yeah. And so that's those are the I guess I shared two dreams. I wanted to share one, but I shared those two. And I want to hear now from you guys. Somebody come up and share something, please. Or if not, I'll invite someone up. I'll just pick someone this time because last time I was a little shy to pick you guys because I didn't know you, and I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna, if I pull up someone and they're gonna say no. Let's see. Okay, wait. There's a someone said something and I forgot to read it. Hold on. I'm still new to this app, guys. So let's see. Oh, thanks for the link. Oh, okay. You're welcome, Dayo. I'm so happy you made it. I'm really happy you guys are here. Okay, so who wants to come up? You can request. I'll wait a few seconds. If not, I'm just gonna pick someone. I already have someone in mind. I know someone wants to say something. I can see you. All right, here we go. Right. Thank you, Wendy, for the hearts. Thank you, Ray. That was so funny. I was in that dream with you guys, like, and it was a marathon, Ray. I thought about you. I was like, yeah. Out of all the stuff that I usually do in dreams, I haven't been running in dreams much. But we have those dreams where we're like running away from people. I've had a lot of those not these past couple days, but yeah, in the past I've had a lot of those. Like, what are you running from, right? Like, there's something there within you that you're running from. That's what it is. And do I have someone up here? Oh, hey Ray, there you are. How are you?
Hello, good morning from California.
Good morning, Grand Rising, as people like to say. You know what? Yeah, that's true. A lot of people say Grand Rising, and I figured that it's maybe because when you say morning, it sounds like you're mourning. Like something bad happened when you mourn. So I think that's why people choose Grand Rising. Do you know about this?
I've never heard that before.
Well, that is interesting. And I was like thinking, yeah, that's why people insist so much on not saying good morning and they say grand rising always because I've had even people say, no, I don't say that, grand rising. I'm like, okay, that works. So grand rising. Anyway, so Ray, tell me a little bit about yourself first of all, and yeah, introduce yourself real quick to people. What do you do? I know you do marathons, of course. You have a show as well. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I'm a creator here on Fireside. I go by Coach Ray Z, and I have a show here Thursdays and Fridays. It's either with a guest or just a solo show, somehow fitness or sports related.
Hmm.
Besides that, very active. Run marathons, like to practice jujitsu, play basketball, pretty much everything.
Nice.
And then I like to help people along the way. That's why the coach part, and then besides that, stay busy with being a father and everything else life brings you, and work. So a little bit of everything, right?
Awesome. And so I have a question for you. So what are your dreams? And it doesn't necessarily have to be, dreams like in dream state, but like, yeah, what are your dreams for the future?
Oh, I have many different dreams. Like, I'll give you for example, like in running, I want to run 100 marathons. I'm at 57 right now, and then
Mm-hmm.
I also want to run a marathon in each state. So in jiu-jitsu, I want to get to a black belt, and that'll take many, many, many more years. And then I'd like to win a tournament at the Nike 3-on-3 tournament. So, just for example, I have many different dreams, just in sports related, personal, financial, personal growth, a little bit of everything.
Wow, yeah, it seems like you have a lot on your plate. And hi, David. Hi, Worm. It's Worm. How are you today? So, yeah, I definitely feel like you're the kind of person who likes to keep busy. Like you don't really like having just time where you're not doing anything, right?
Well, there was a time I was super, super lazy. I would say I was really lazy. So, I think I'm trying to make up for lost time. I realized, hey, we're only here for a certain amount of time. Got to make the most of it.
I see what you mean. And what do you think about the concept of our, our consciousness? Let's say, yeah, because our bodies definitely, in this system that we're in, our bodies definitely are not eternal, but our consciousness is, and we can take it to many places. And when the places we visit in Dreamscape, for example, is just an example of the things we can do with our consciousness. But what do you think about that? About the fact that your consciousness is eternal?
That is a fascinating subject that I'm not sure if anyone really has an answer to, but I'm fascinated to learn different perspectives, philosophies, religions,
Mm-hmm.
and besides all my physical activity growing up, being Mexican American or Mexican
Sure.
Catholic was taught to me. I went to private school, so
Mm.
religion was instilled in me, and then from there, my curiosity into as you meet other people, you realize, hey, they're not Mexican. Hey, they're different colors, they're different nationalities, they're different ways of living. They even with the food they eat. I was intrigued, and I love that. I love to travel and meet people and their cultures and the way of life and the way they think and the religious practices.
Ah, yeah, that's great. That's really great. And do you have dreams too? Like, and not you told us about your dreams, like in this physical reality. How about dreamscape? Do you remember them at all?
No, I don't. I don't really remember.
Mm.
It's rare that I do, and I
Mhm.
wish I do. Like, my mom will be like, "Oh, I had this dream," and she'll tell me about it, and I'm like, I can't even remember. I'm like, "You remember a lot?" She's like, "No, not really." I'm like, "I don't remember not even what you're telling me." Like, may- maybe I don't get into that deep enough sleep enough.
Well, studies do say that dreams often happen during REM sleep, which is rapid eye movement. That's the state where we're like in deep sleep, but not super deep. It's like between you're still kind of conscious, like the brain waves are still pretty active in the brain. Like it's not. Like the super deep sleep, so it is a like a sweet spot. Let's put it that way, but I've had even dreams where I'm not in that REM sleep. So that's why I'm like, well, yeah, scientifically speaking, maybe that's when most people have dreams, but I do think that we have the possibility of visiting these other realities even when we're not in REM sleep. And another thing that I wanted to say regarding not remembering them, because we all have them. We all dream always. We always visit different places, but we tend to forget very easily or not remember them because there's either it could be different things. It could be because of maybe bad habits before you go to bed, not having enough energy as well to remember them. And smoking apparently also reduces the amount of dreams that people have, or the ability to remember them. And um what else is there? There's also, well, just the fact that sometimes we block our dreams, or from remembering our dreams, because they carry a lot of information that sometimes is very difficult to look at, because it's the unconscious mind. You're literally communicating with your unconscious mind when you're dreaming. So that is why sometimes we don't remember them either, because we find that that's an aspect of ourselves that's very fragmented, or that is kind of scary. So we unconsciously block the dreams from coming into our consciousness in the morning. So that's interesting. That's something to think about, right? Like, maybe what are the thought patterns that may be blocking you from remembering the dreams, or what are the habits that you might want to change, and eventually, if you do want to remember them, right?
Yeah, I've heard of some of those reasons for the blockage, or lack of remembering, or maybe not going into that complete REM sleep. Because I
Right.
remember I read a book by Carlos Castañeda,
Ah.
and I don't remember the whole title, but it talked about as you're going to sleep, you look at your hands, and then you look around. It's like an anchor. That way,
Yeah.
like a lot of times in your dream, you're like, oh, you're walking down a hallway, then you look out a window. Next thing you know, you went through that window. You're in a different world, and you wanted to stay in that hallway because someone was there you want to talk to. So this was a way to anchor it, and I used to practice that technique as I was falling asleep. So going into my dream state. But since I don't dream, I stopped.
Ah, man, yeah. I mean, that there's so many things that you can start trying. Maybe like if you would like, right? But because you can like eventually start remembering your dreams again. But this reminds me of yeah, this technique to do lucid dreaming where it's like a reality check, right? It's like you said, you check your hand, and then what people normally do is ask themselves, "Am I dreaming?" And right now I'll do that, right? Like, "Am I dreaming?" No, okay. And you can set your alarm to do this several times in the day, and then you'll start getting into the habit of doing it in dreams as well. So you'll find yourself in the dream asking, "Am I dreaming?" And one time I did that in a dream, and I said, no, I'm not dreaming. I thought I was, it was just everyday life." And there's this voice that came in, it's like, "Check again." And I looked, and my hand had like little spirals, like my fingerprints were like little spirals spinning, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that looks different." And then I was able to jump back into another dream I was having right before that. So it's like a dream within a dream, like an inception. Yeah. So that's so funny because there are several techniques that you can do before bed for sure, for doing a lot of things to play in dream state. So yeah, thanks for sharing that because that's definitely powerful. That's definitely cool. Um, Also, meditation before bed is nice to do, right? If you want to try that, like a short 5-minute meditation, even it's enough to get you more in that relaxed state, and connecting with your center point, like we were talking about earlier. I think before you got here, is that center point of really where you can find peace. When we started the podcast, I was telling people how to do these breaths that I practice called 6-pointed breath, like a lotus flower. And you focus on a center point, and you're breathing in through six different points, like up, down, left, right, front, back. And it's like a lotus flower. And you breathe in, it closes up, and you breathe out, and it opens up like this. And the air will go in that center point that you want to focus on. So that's a nice thing to do if you just do that, before bedtime. Try it, and would love to hear if you start having more or remembering, because we all have dreams, right? If you start remembering your dreams, I'd love to hear more about that.
Oh, that's interesting. I'll check out the replay for that breathing technique. I've never heard of that one before.
Oh, awesome. So, but you do breathing techniques then, because it sounds like you've heard about other ones.
Well, I learned about the ones through martial arts, and then
Right.
uh, Wim Hof. I learned about Wim Hof years ago. So
Yes.
I, but this is stuff that I practice on and off, just like meditation. I'm
Mhm.
not consistent with it.
Yeah, that's what it's like, because meditation is like a sport, really. If you don't do it, sorry, for a little while, you kind of lose practice a little bit, and then once you get back into it, it's pretty easy though. Like once you've already done it before and you get back into it, it's like just like sports. You can easily start over again, and it feels like you never stop doing it. So yeah, I invite everyone to try it. Even just try it like 5 minutes, because it is really powerful, and you can learn how to be, like I was saying also before you got here, being in the eye of the storm. You got all these chaotic things happening around you always. What's going on in the world right now, right? Everything that's happening is built to create fear, and to just perpetuate this feeling of either lack or fear. Or it's like, you don't have to buy into that at all. You can be in your own lotus flower, and feel that peace. And of course, you're going to go out and participate in the world too. It's not just about sitting there the whole time, but you feel you can better deal with these kinds of situations when you're like going out and talking with other people, because they're carrying stuff around. They have their own traumas, their own problems, that sometimes we kind of like, when we're merging energy fields with people, we feel that, right? But when you practice things like meditation, and you've got this like bubble of like protection around you all the time, it's like, yeah, you kind of feel it. You bump bubbles with other people, but you're more capable of keeping yourself in your center point. And also, it's contagious. This kind of energy can be contagious, to other people. When you're in peace, it's like, oh, that inspires peace in other people. So anyway, that's a little bit off topic, but I think I just thought it was important to say for the people here today. I just kind of reading into the energy right now. So wow. So let me see. Did you want to say anything else, Ray? Do you want to share anything else? We got like 20 minutes. I did want to bring up someone else, but let me know if you wanted
Sure.
to say anything
No,
else.
yeah, I wanted to mention. I just want to hop up here, show support, and
Mhm.
I do believe in dreams. They're interesting. I've had many different dream books. Wanted to ask you though, real quick.
Go ahead.
When I was in your dream, what was I doing? Was I winning the race?
Well, you guys were actually at like the, where you have the like the not the aid station. What's the one at the end? Like the recovery zone, I guess, where you have the bananas and all that stuff. I think that's where you guys were at. It was like and it felt like a podcast panel. Like couldn't really see your guys' faces. It was more like I could hear your voices, and it was weird. You know how dreams are so weird. It's like
Oh yeah.
it was, yeah, it was this just feeling of you being all there. That's what it was, and I can really see people's faces, and some of you I don't even know how you look like. So it's like in real life. So yeah. And what else did you want to
No,
ask me? Anything
that's it.
else?
I will go down the virtual stage.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming up. All right, does anybody want to come up? If not, I'm going to invite someone else. Let's hear from, let's see, hi Kevin.
Oh, I'm on. Thank you for having me.
Yes, hi, how are you?
Happy Mother's Day.
Oh, thank you. How did you know I was a mom? I'm a mom.
It's written all over your face.
You're so funny. Thank you. Yeah, I do have a daughter. She's gonna be arriving sometime soon. Today, later today. She's with her dad right now. But otherwise, I would show you guys. She's so funny. She's so cute. Oh, but thank you, Kevin. Have you done anything special today?
No, I've been playing Skyrim and crying.
Why?
I miss my kid.
Oh, where is he or she?
Her mother is not as nice as you.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. And when do you get to see her again?
Probably never.
How is that? Why so?
Because the judge awarded my ex full custody.
Oh man, that is really tough.
I haven't seen her in over 7 years.
Wow, that is really tough. I can just imagine. And so that's what you've been processing lately, right? And it's difficult. Oh, and but tell me a little bit more about yourself. Where do you live? Or you don't have to share that, but if you want to share that, or what do you do for a living, and um, what are your dreams? And maybe yes, one, and of course, I know that one of them is to see your daughter, which I'm getting the message for you is that you will, of course, get to see her. You will get to see her, and you know what? She's obviously going to want to see you. So that's what's important. It doesn't matter what her mom is going to say. She's going to want to see you. So there's going to be opportunities. Yeah, where there's a will, there's a way. Basically, is what's coming through. Okay. Yeah.
So at the custody hearing, the judge awarded full custody to the mother because my daughter insisted that she didn't want to ever see me again. The same thing that she said on her 11th birthday over
Yeah, but
7.
those things change. Those things change. I have the feeling that there's something that's going to happen there. She needs to go through a whole process of, let's say, death, rebirth, and really knowing who she is. She doesn't. She's very. She's. It seems like maybe she's very confused right now. So, when these things happen, it is a big challenge, and it's for you. I can just imagine. I can just imagine how difficult this is. But I have the feeling. I mean, and you have no reason. I mean, there's no reason for her to feel this way towards you. Really, I mean, logically, right? You haven't done
Not as
anything.
far as I'm aware. No, I
Exactly.
don't beat my child. I don't scream at her and I don't tell her she's dirt. I used to tell her every single night before she went to sleep. I'd kiss her on the forehead and tell her, that she could do anything.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah. So from what I'm getting is that so this is probably coming from her mom, right? She's probably maybe have has put maybe certain ideas in her head or something like that.
oh, her mother is cruel.
Hmm. Yeah.
That's
So
why
the
I'm no longer with her.
sorry.
That's why I'm no longer with her. She's very cruel.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Well, she has her own thing to go through as well. I bet she's been through a lot herself, and that's why she's this way. There's always trauma behind all that, the type of behavior, which is, not to excuse the behavior because that's totally inappropriate, everything she's doing. But yeah, like I said, your daughter's still super young. She's 11, you said, or no, like
No, she turns 16 this year.
16. Okay, yeah, yeah. That's. Oof, I remember when I was that age. Yeah, I still have a difficult relationship with my parents, but at that age, it was even the worst. It was the worst. But we have to go through this process of really understanding, and connecting with ourselves and knowing that nobody should be influencing us how we see the world and how we see other people. It should always come from, the information is all internal, it's all there always. So she's gonna
I'm
have
going
to.
to be real with you. I'm going to be real with you. All right.
Yeah,
Because I've been real so far.
yeah, go ahead.
Who do you think one of the smartest people on the planet is right now? Like, if you just off the top of your head, who do you think one of the smartest people on the planet is right now?
Oh my gosh, that's a really hard question because I honestly, I don't really like looking outside of myself for information much, unless I feel like I need to know something and I ask myself first and foremost. Then something will come to me in the form of a book, or I don't have anybody that I.
What I mean is, like, generally speaking, right? There's people like Alexander Graham Bell,
Oh,
Einstein,
yeah,
Tesla,
it could be someone
Dirac.
who died. If it could be someone who died, I would say, yeah, Nikola Tesla. Carl Jung is another one I really admire. Nikola Tesla. Let's go with him.
Okay, so if you had an opportunity to meet somebody that was an intellectual outlier like him today, like, let's say that person is on the stage right now and you're speaking to them, what would you suggest to them?
What would I say to Nikola Tesla, for example?
Yeah,
Oh, I would ask a lot of questions. And I would probably ask him to talk about his dreams because he had a lot of all the intel that he got pretty much was from dreams he had. Like how he came up with his technologies, he dreamt them a lot of the times, or he would have visions and stuff. And so that's why I know the dreams are so valuable because
that's how
people
it works.
have this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really remarkable. Yeah, when I was a kid, I remember thinking that things are so terrible that I just want to leave. And I
Uh,
wanted to leave so bad that I worked out technology
hmm,
and I figured out a way so that anybody could leave. Like, faster than light travel, like you being able to get in a spaceship and leave and not have to come back.
mm-hmm.
Travel anywhere in the universe you want to go.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yep.
Yeah, I've had the same feeling. Yeah, and it's not easy because sometimes, even when things are going right, quote unquote, there's for me there's no saying, oh, there's everything is wrong or everything is right. It's always this. Everything that we have is what we need, really, to either learn a lesson or to go through something that will help us grow. Everything is an opportunity for growth. So when I go through these moments of feeling like this, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I do feel this way. This sucks, but I know that it's not permanent and that this is happening for me to be able to grow. So instead of seeing it, it all depends on the perspective you're using to see things. If you're seeing it from a perspective of like, oh, this is horrible, then yes, you're just going to be perpetuating those feelings and you're going to be bringing more of that into your reality. But if you see it as, okay, this is an opportunity for me to grow, what can I learn from this, and what is the universe giving me the opportunity to do, instead of saying what is the universe making me do, or it's like I have to do this. No, it's like I get to do this. So yeah, it's I but I again, it's difficult, but I don't know if you wanted to say anything about
No, I
that.
mean, from his perspective, let's look at it from Tesla's perspective. Now a lot of people don't know this about him, but he went to really fabulous parties. He was a very well dressed guy. In fact, a lot of the time when he ran out of money, it wasn't because he ran out of money on the materials for some of his really crazy and amazing experiments. It was because he spent a lot of money on his wardrobe. The guy had like suits and gloves. He threw away gloves all the time. It was a thing. He was a germaphobe. But it was because he
I know
knew
that
about the
about him. That's
world.
super interesting.
Yeah, he was a super germaphobe, and he was one of those anal retentive people. Like he had to take a certain number of steps as he walked around the block. He
Oh
counted.
yeah, OCD completely.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I had
so really
moments
interesting
where I
guy.
was doing that. I had moments where I was doing that
But
kind of
from
stuff.
his perspective, right? He didn't have social media like we do. He didn't have Fireside. He didn't have Clubhouse, and so
Mhm.
that was one of the contributing factors that led to these unusual social behaviors. Because when left alone to their own devices, we start looking like we're not human anymore. We don't look like everybody else. And
Mhm.
that's what happened to Tesla. You start adopting these habits and behaviors that are nothing like anybody else for
Mhm. Mhm.
very obvious reasons at this point in the conversation. So, from his perspective, it must have seemed very bleak because he had these really big dreams and these really big ideas, and he's like, nobody is listening. And then by the time the Titanic sunk and all of his major investors all died,
Ah,
it
yeah.
was really bleak because then he was like, okay, people are obviously working against me because they went after his buddy George Westinghouse. And they basically said, we're going to bankrupt you if you don't stop using Tesla's patents. And
Mhm.
Westinghouse was like, screw you. And Tesla, he tore up his patent papers, right? The contract that he had for Mr. Westinghouse. And he said, there's no way. They're not going to put you underwater. I just won't take any of your money anymore. And he stopped. And it changed the world. Like it was beyond his lifetime, is what it came down to. But today's age, right? We have children that were born in the 80s that can quite possibly, because of social media and the internet and world connection, could literally change the world in 10, 15 years or less.
True. That is so true. Yeah.
Very different.
Yeah. So I want to just ask you why that question. It was a very good question, but what sparked you to ask that about what was the person that I found the smartest? Who do you find the smartest?
Um, there are some really amazing people that I think a lot of people don't know about. You should look at the Martians.
Hmm.
I know it's a weird name, but they were this group of like 14, 15 people that
Who's that?
came out of Göttingen, which is a prestigious, prodigious genius producing school in Germany, Austria.
Hmm.
And they came to the United States around the time of World War II, and they changed the world forever. One of them, known as the chief of the Martians, was none other than John von Neumann, who is the inventor of computers, computer language, optical mathematics, ergodic theory, set theory. I mean, the guy is like, when you read his Wikipedia page, you're like, wait a minute, this guy existed? There's no way. And he only lived 53 years. Most folks don't have any clue who these people are.
Right.
Um,
I haven't heard of them actually. I'll have to check it out. Thank you for bringing that up.
yeah,
And we're running a little bit. We're running a little bit short on time here. I want to speak to Dio real quick, but I want to thank you for coming up, Kevin. And I really do think things are going to change for you. So to just keep that faith. Really, that's my message for you. Okay.
thank you.
Yeah, it was really nice talking to you. I'll see you again soon, and I'm gonna bring. Oh, Dio is already here, so I'm gonna hear from Dio now. Is that cool with you, Kevin?
It's your show.
Okay, and let me know if you have anything else you wanted to add before I move on to Dio. Though I wanna make sure you say everything you wanted to say today. So go ahead. Let me know if there's anything else. Oh, you're good. Okay, Dio, you wanna unmute yourself real quick?
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello. Ça va? Bonjour.
Bonjour, est-ce que vous m'entendez bien?
Oui. So
Ah, ok, super.
because he's actually in Paris, and we haven't met up. Like it's been a while that we know each other. We've only known each other online.
We shall meet soon. Everything in perfect timing.
I know. I'm patiently just like I see that things are shifting a lot. There's a lot of shifting going on in the field.
Yes,
And I
it's
want to say hi to Deborah. Sorry, hi Deborah. Go ahead, Dio.
it's a pleasure to be on here because I really enjoy listening to you when I listen to your podcast,
Awesome.
which I listen to quite often. So for me, it's a pleasure. I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't able to follow the whole podcast today step by step
That's
because
okay.
there were lots of distractions, and then I had someone come in.
Okay.
So, but definitely, I saw the signal that you wanted to talk to me. So, that's why I came back real quick online so that you would know that I was present.
Awesome.
Of course, maybe definitely there will be like a replay, so I will be able to listen, hopefully. But when I had seen it during the week that there was this new app and you had this new podcast going on, and it was interactive and all that, I said to myself, oh, I need to be part of that because I love spaces where people can express themselves without any restrictions.
Yeah, exactly. Especially with these topics, right? It's like there's so much to share, and interactions like this are very enriching. I find so. Thank you for saying
Absolutely.
that.
What would you like for me to express today?
Well, I wanted to know if you've had any crazy dreams, or just if
Ooh.
not, then in general, what are your dreams? What are you dreaming about doing in this reality?
Okay. I find it weird, but I'm gonna tell you this. I rarely dream.
You rarely remember your dreams because we all dream.
Maybe, when for me, that's why I find it fascinating when I listen to people like you and so many other divine souls that I come across, and everybody talks about dreams and everything. Quite a few people have told me, "Oh, you don't remember your dreams," but I'm such a person that I feel like every other day, even when I'm not sleeping, that I am dreaming.
Right. Like yeah, it's like
Yeah,
they're interrelated, like we said, right? It's all a big dreamscape as well.
yeah. But lately, when I've been studying everything metaphysics, I've been looking at it from the perspective of, but why is it that when I go to bed, like every other person, like, oh, I had a dream. Why is it that I don't really like dream? I really don't know why. Or maybe it's just something that I pay less attention to. One thing I know for sure is I feel a lot.
Mm.
I feel a lot. I can catch a glimpse of how something is gonna turn out,
Mm-hmm.
or something, or a likelihood of what is gonna happen. And one way or the other, it happens that same way all the time, all the time, all the time.
Wow.
It's like that all the time. The only time I would remember that I really literally had a dream was before the year 2020,
Mhm.
which would be actually the year that I consider having my awakening. I believe I was having little awakenings, but I wasn't paying major attention. But the 2021 struck like a big slap. It was like a real big slap, and I really didn't know what was going on, to the extent that when I found myself being struck, I had to automatically, like, um put all the pieces of the puzzle together to be like, I think something is trying to send you a message for you to catch up on something real quick, because I'm very, like, nonchalant when it comes to some things. Sometimes I believe that in this life, the best way is for you to just be a decent human being and don't bother people, and don't be mean unnecessarily and every other thing like that. But I am not really like, I hate rules. I hate rules. I hate following instructions and stuff like that. So for me, there were so many signs. There were so many. I'm a critical thinker naturally, and there were so many things, but I never really paid attention because I wasn't personally affected by anything. But in the beginning of 2020, I I I
Like
I
you were
wasn't
forced to look at it. It's just like you can't
I
unsee
was. I was forced to look at it because it was kind of like, it's either now or you're gonna leave. I
it.
was I was in between life and death.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'd never been hospitalized in my life before, so it was kind of shocking.
That's
But the crazy thing was, up until the end of 2019, I was in a constant back and forth with people that were really close to me, but were actually being like energy vampires and just being unnecessarily mean. and I was trying to stand on my sovereign side and just be like maintain my frame. And that was the only time ever since I was like maybe 7 or 8 that I recall having a dream. And this dream, I didn't see myself as a being.
Hmm.
There, we were actually like on a battlefield, and there were like 3 wolves that were chasing after me. And it was kind of like an auditorium.
Okay.
It was kind of like an auditorium, and we were like in the middle, and it was like we were doing the play, and an audience was watching, and I was attacked. I didn't even realize it was a dream until I felt attacked. The crazy thing is there was so much of chaos going on, and you could literally hear the tu sais quand les animaux quand ils courent,
When
when
animals,
the animals are
a
racing.
stampede, like a stampede of animals.
Yeah, like this, the feet, you could actually hear the like boom boom boom
Oh,
boom.
okay.
Yeah, you could actually hear it, like it felt like it was really there. And
Yeah.
there was one of these animals that literally, like, they actually, what I got out of it was like it was something that was conjured up to take me out,
Wow.
but I wasn't taken out. And I was hit so hard from the dream that when I woke up, I felt the pain in the physical
Wow.
here. And what woke me up was there was an applause. I'm telling you, there was an applause. And when
Wow.
I woke up, all of a sudden, I knew exactly who the 3 people were.
Wow.
It's kind of like when they plug you into another simulation
Uh-huh.
with like what's it called, with other different type of avatars, and
Okay.
I had to race and battle against them. But what they didn't know was that I was going to make it out of it, and I was hit. And figure toi, imagine you that the moment I woke up, I'm always on 120 energy wise. The moment I woke up, I felt incredibly ill.
Mm.
I,
Wow.
I felt incredibly ill. Everything was going kind of messy. I went to the hospital. It was different kind of diagnosis. I didn't know what was going on around me anymore.
Didn't tell you what it was? They didn't say it was
They were giving me all different types of results. The next thing, I was coughing profusely, non-stop. I had cameras in my lungs and everything. It was all crazy.
wow.
It was all crazy. I stepped out of the finally, when I stepped out of the hospital on several prescription drugs, the whole COVID-19 thing was going on all around the world. So I didn't even know what it was all about. All I just know was like, it's like I got transported from a particular reality into a whole new one. And the next thing, I just found myself studying a lot of esoteric stuff, studying tarot, doing this, doing that, doing things that I threw religion immediately down the drain. So many things just changed overnight, just like that,
Wow.
overnight. And it's weird because the entourage I had before, they knew a lot of metaphysical stuff,
Hmm.
but they didn't want to tell me anything, and I don't know why.
And then after that, you stopped having or remembering, sorry, your dreams,
And
right?
after that, I didn't have any other dream again.
So
The
strange.
first time I had a dream that I could really, like, really remember
It was
was when I was around 8. And up
that's
until then, I didn't have this dream that was kind of like a very significant one.
right. So it was a big, yeah, it was definitely, for me, what's coming to mind is you were definitely in this, this was an interdimensional travel. It wasn't just a regular
Mm,
dream because, you know what, I always like to specify there are just regular dreams that are just take place in the astral realm.
mm-hmm,
Dreams to help us process emotions that give us information about relationships or problems that we can solve. And those are
mm-hmm,
regular dreams. But then we have these things that happen just like that.
Mm-hmm.
Just literally you're in another dimension. So yeah,
Yeah.
I've had this kind of stuff happen, and I do feel like there's an interception going on for you in terms of your dream space, because they don't want you to get that information. I feel like you have
I
a lot of stuff.
wonder that you are very right because one thing I notice is this: everywhere I go, a lot of mystical people follow me all around. Everywhere I go. You have no idea. Like on my friends list on almost every app, I don't necessarily add people up. When I met you, the reason how I met you was I met you through a peaceful human advancement,
Yeah.
and that's because it was kind of that automatic. Right after the hospital thing, I just found those pages like that. I'm
That's
telling you, just pages like that, and it was kind of like I was just screenshotting anything I saw and everything because it was kind of like I got picked up from a particular paradigm
right.
and got thrown into another.
That is so funny. I remember how we met. You were in a live that he was doing, and
Yes, and I
it's
really, really, really appreciate that guy because
interesting how it
he's
happened.
taught me so much. He's
Mhm.
taught me so much. And what had happened was I was trying to, because I have so much confiance, trust in his teachings.
Mhm.
So I wanted to share a particular teaching that I was receiving with him for him to give me his perspective, what he thinks about it. So when I gave it to him, he was like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. But so for me, I was just like, okay, sometimes you need to get your own enlightenment first, then you start now creating your own path.
Yes.
Because at first when you're like talking about the dreams and everything, now for me it's like I know that imagination is creation.
Yes.
And since I was a kid, I could just sit down and pin together however I want something to appear. Now, in the physical, it might not give exactly that, but I always maintain in my head the initial picture that I had, because I know now for certain that whatever is happening in the physical has nothing to do with the real deal of what is happening in the metaphysical. That is, before I came onto your page today, it has already been happening. This meeting had already been happening on different layers of the astral and different dimensions before. This is the physical, tangible context of it.
Right. It's just
You
like,
know?
yeah. So I do want to explain this concept, Dio, to people listening, because some people might be new to this. What is
Oh,
really happening is that the future is vibrating at a higher frequency. So it's like things are like, it's like it's being pulled down into the present. And yeah, so when we see it, it's already there. Like you said, it's when you're imagining something, it's your the thought form. It's already existing somewhere, and those particles can solidify. We're perceiving them as solid here.
yeah.
They're on in this dimension, but they're like, yeah, they're coming down. It's like scrolling. It's all constant expansion and contraction, and it's all happening at once. So it's like, so it's really cool. Like sometimes we get these moments of deja vu, stuff like that
Yeah.
because of that.
But before I didn't know that, because before I might have a thought that came to my mind, or I might foresee something. And when you don't really understand that you're the only one here, before I never knew I was the only one here. Like
Yeah.
for now, I understand a lot of things. Like,
Right.
oh, I'm really the only one here. So the thing is, when you don't know that you're the only one here, you run to your next door neighbor, or and then you explain, like, what do
Yeah.
you think? And definitely what they're gonna do is gaslight you and tell you, oh, stop overthinking, you're talking trash, what do you think you got that from? Of which that just makes you toss everything in the bin, like, oh yeah, maybe I'm just being too extra.
Well, it depends. Like I found that, relationships can definitely be very, very valuable, but definitely always keep in mind that it all starts with you and it ends with you. So no matter what other people are doing or how they're reacting to what you're doing, doesn't matter,
Mm.
because what's important is that you feel good with what you're doing, right?
Yeah, it
So
takes time and it takes practice.
yeah.
I kind of feel cheated sometimes. I don't really know why. I keep saying to myself, I don't know why the universe hasn't given me the gift of clairvoyance yet. And then, then I would study something that lets me know, like, you're already clairvoyant. It's just
Sure.
a level of vibration. Because it's like, what do you want to see? I don't necessarily want to be like the person that is like, oh, I can read your future for you, I can tell you this. It's so much of that. And that was why I was telling you, like, I had a lot of people that were into metaphysics around me, but I never took it seriously. Like, I could be out and they would tell me stuff like, it got to a point. That was why I was able to put the two and two together real quick while I
Mhm.
was in the hospital. It was an awakening, because I would be in parties and I would hear people whispering behind my back, he's so powerful but he doesn't even know who he is.
Oh my
And
god.
in my mind I'm like, what are they talking about? So for me, I was saying to myself, oh, there must be something that these people don't want me to know, that they are hiding from me. And then a few kind of like priestesses and priests from the African region, they come up to me and they tell me, you need to be careful about this, you need to be careful about that. But whatever they're saying, or even when I'm just walking down the street and I come across a yogi and he tells me, oh, this, that. I kind of know what he's talking about. And even if he's trying to tell me I need to be careful of this person or that person, I always looked at everyone that wasn't vibrating on the frequency of love as being silly. But I didn't even know that the whole existence was a whole complete joke.
Well, I know what you're saying. I feel your emotions right now. There's a lot of stuff going on in your life right now, and
Yes,
you
a
feel
lot.
overwhelmed. You feel overwhelmed, but you know what? I'd love to talk more about you on this, and I'm gonna have to end the show here in a bit because we're running a little bit over.
Aww.
Yeah, I did start a little bit later, so I wanted to hear more about what you were saying, but I just wanted to make sure that we wrap it up nicely, and
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity to express myself on here. It's not the easiest thing, and sometimes the things that we want to express don't necessarily make accurate sense, because it's from I don't know how to say it to you. It's bits and pieces of different things, that happened across months and accumulation of several years. And just explaining it to you now, it's not like sometimes I don't wake up in the morning and I had like maybe a little dream and stuff like that, but it never was something that was significant to the point that I considered it like, oh, I had a dream.
right.
But what I was telling you about, it shook me to the core.
I see
And
what you mean.
immediately there were manifestations of, you know, so many things that followed, to the point that it kind of made me wonder. It literally took me down the rabbit hole,
Hmm.
literally, compared to me maybe just having like a little dream about I was going to have a nice time on holiday and I ended up having, it
Yep.
was life changing. So thank you for, I would say thank you for understanding that, because I am pretty sure you understood a lot of things that I didn't say. I
Yes.
know you understood a lot of things that I didn't say, or maybe I didn't even have the accurate vocabulary to to express myself correctly. I know myself. A first time being, I didn't even expect you were going to tell me to speak, so I was
Oh,
a
but
bit,
thank you
I
so
was a bit
much.
nervous and everything. But thank you so much for the opportunity.
Of course, thank you so much for accepting the what's it called, the invitation. Huh?
All
The
right,
word.
all right.
L'invitation. Yeah. So, and I would definitely look forward to talking to you again. We will talk.
With all pleasure. With all pleasure. And thank you for your beautiful podcast, the one that is on Spotify. because of people like you that talk about the things that are going on, it makes us know that we are just into our awakenings, and we're trying to pin two and two together. Even sometimes we read some books and everything, but because of explicative podcasts such as this, and some of the lives that we bump into, like yours and that of Chris,
Mm-hmm.
it gives
My
you
brother.
the understanding that, oh, you're not going crazy. Okay, you know what you're talking about. Okay, you understand it now. And sometimes to watch again and to listen again, it really liberates the mental. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. I really felt,
Welcome.
yeah. Yeah, so I do want to say about the this whole, like what I said, the word interception, right? I do feel like a lot of us have been in a certain way intercepted, or our dreams have been maybe blocked, or that's why we don't remember them. Is because there's so much valuable information in them, and so that's why I think dream work is super important, and that is something that's going to be coming back because ancient traditions, the Mayans, the Egyptians, and even before, like pre-ancient times, people used to do this kind of work in order to get information, or sometimes like predict the future, like kind of what happens with you, like you kind of feel when something is happening, but you can also get that information through dreams. And the more you do this kind of work, the more clear the messages are, and or you can easily interpret them, versus when it's just like it's like a mixture of like whatever like message that you don't really get,
Mm-hmm.
because you haven't really understood the language of your dreams. And then understanding also that we are capable of having interdimensional experiences like the one you just explained
Mm-hmm.
to us, which is crazy. Which it's like, yeah, you're literally popping into other timelines, other realities, which then also merge with this reality, this
Mm.
physical reality. So I just think it's just crazy. And
Very, very
aspects.
crazy.
Yeah.
Very crazy and very crazy. And now that you said it the way that you put it down, it makes sense because while I was hospitalized, a lot of things happened and they gave several diagnoses. And one day I woke up and they came to me and they were like, "Oh, we're gonna let you go home now. Something happened. We have no explanation for it." That was their words. They were like, littéral. I'm sorry for speaking in French, mais littéralement, les médecins ont dit, on n'a jamais vu ça.
Oh, we've never seen
That was
something like
that was
that.
we've
Like
never
never.
seen anything like this before. That was their words. They were like, "We're gonna let you go home now because we don't know what happened. On n'a jamais vu ça. They kept on saying on n'a jamais vu ça, and instantly I could feel it in my. Right now, I'm talking to you. I've got goosebumps all over,
Uh,
and literally, I could feel it in my core. Like I knew that the universe heard my cry, and the universe knew that I wasn't like a wayward child, or I wasn't someone that never was, I wasn't someone that was lost, but I didn't just know.
yeah.
I didn't just know because nobody, sometimes it's like people don't really want you to know because they feel like maybe when you know, I don't know, people when they're blinded by the ego, they feel like when you know you're gonna maybe, I don't know what they feel maybe you're gonna be, but I noticed that the universe was like, okay, now it's time. I think it's time for you to, because I really felt like I wasn't gonna be here anymore,
Wow.
and I truly, honestly don't have attachments that much, but I'm the last child of my mom, and every other child hasn't really been there for her.
Mm.
So I kind of felt like she deserves to be at least, like I tell her all the time, Mom, if you leave today, I will be gone tomorrow because there's absolutely nothing for me here. I've seen it all. I've seen it. I'm not impressed by anything. So for me, it wasn't really about that. So I think what the universe really did was, oh, he doesn't just understand how it works. Let me show him the road.
Mm.
And now that I've understood the path, what really excites me is for me to know more, 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 and more. Like, and I know that the more you know nothing.
You're
But
right. That's what I was gonna say. It's like it's a never-ending story. There's always so
yes,
much knowledge, and there's new knowledge coming in
Yeah.
always, like perpetually. So
Yeah. And even talking about it like this with you, it will be a topic for another time. But I remember that I I I had another significant dream right after that, where there was this kind of light being that showed up to me and told me, go downstairs and bring me some sand. I was upstairs and the light being told me, can you do me a favor? I was like, what? It was like, I need you to really slow down. Now go downstairs and bring me some sand. And I went downstairs real quick. I sped. I don't think I had ran that fast in my life before. I went downstairs, I scooped up some sand, and by the time I came back, because this light being appeared as a dense being, like in don't look call human in a human body, and then I ran downstairs. By the time I ran back upstairs on the stairs, I brought the sand. And when I poured the sand by the feet, it became all a complete light beam that was disappeared away. Yeah. And the message was slow down. Everything is in divine order. Those were the words.
I love that message. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, because that's exactly what I've been getting. And the last couple of weeks, it's been the same thing. It's like, stop trying to fast track yourself. You're already going fast enough. And whatever hasn't happened doesn't need to happen yet. You know?
Yes, I know I feel kind of complex sometimes because I naturally don't have a complex when it comes to my quotidian life. But when I'm online and I see all of my mates that are far advanced in the information world,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of feel like, what were you doing all your life? Like I kind of feel like I was I and that's also because at first I was registered in a school, like in a mystery school online on
Mm-hmm.
Zoom. So we would study like esoteric books and stuff like that. And there was a lot of the Americans were giving me a lot of shade because I was Parisian and fashion. So it was kind of like, oh, so you have nothing else in your brain. That's all. So whenever I see people, that's why I enjoy Chris's class when he's talking about D12 avatars, when he's talking about like, the ETs, when he's talking about different kind of
Yeah.
high high end divine magic, and not just drawing sigils and then doing all the basic other stuff. So when I'm online and I'm listening to people talking about, I had this download and blah blah blah, in my head I'm like, wait a minute, so what do I have to do? I don't eat meat anymore. I'm doing the no fap. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. But why am I not getting it? Why am I? And then sometimes I be walking on the road, and then I evaluate all of the things that I never knew like 10 years ago. And I'm like, do you know where you're at? Because now I see that difference when I'm talking with my sister and my elder brother, and they think I'm completely nuts. When I'm telling them stuff, they're like, what are you saying? What is this crazy religion you're into now? And
All
it's not
right.
a religion.
That's
So, anyways, it's getting longer and longer and longer. So,
I wanted to, give you the opportunity to express yourself because I think this is super important. And I know I went a little bit over time, but that's okay. I think it's important to let people say what they have to say in the moment. And as long as I can be here, I do have to go though because my daughter's arriving pretty soon.
mhm.
So on that note, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers listening as well.
Happy Mother's Day to you too.
Merci. And I know this is a day that's celebrated in different days of the month, but it's also every day should be Mother's Day. It's like I'm not really into holidays much, but I know people appreciate it when you acknowledge, so that's why I'm doing it now.
Yes.
So
And for me, it's like Mother's Day has become way too important now to me more than ever. I've always loved mothers. I feel like I came in the wrong sex, but it doesn't matter. But like now, when you understand the whole reason behind us being here, and you understand the matrix, and you understand the patriarchy and the matriarcha and everything, wow, it's a whole different respect for women,
mm,
because without the women, there's nothing. at all. Not even
No,
like,
but it does
not,
take also the male, and yeah, I mean that's a whole other topic, Dio. Let's
that's
save
a
that
whole
for
nother
next
topic.
time.
Yeah. But without the women, there is nothing. So respect to all women, the ones that bore children and didn't bear. All women. Today is all Mother's Day. They are all
You're
our
so cute.
mothers.
Oh, thank you again, Dayo, and I want to thank everybody here. I know Hazel just arrived a little bit ago. Hazel, we're gonna end the show here, but I hope to see you guys again next week. We'll do it
Yeah,
again.
for
Have a
sure.
moment to share, and you guys can share more stories. I'd be really happy to hear from more of you and from Dayo again if you have more to share, of course. So yeah, and keep doing what you're doing. It's great. Keep following that inner GPS, like I like to call it, guys. And Dayo, we have to speak more about all this, but yes, keep following that internal GPS as to what feels right for you. If it doesn't bring you joy,
Mm,
don't do it. That's it. That's all you have to worry about. It's people, right? It's like you're in groups, you're in doing this and that. Okay, but does that bring you joy? Does it feel weird? Anything, a message you get from a person, and you're like, oh, this was my friend, but now I'm just like, I don't feel it anymore. Just be honest. You got
yes.
really real. Like the message that really clear right now for everybody listening is we've got to get really real here with who we are. With first of all, clear with ourselves. Like, what do we want? And then we've got to behave accordingly and know that we deserve the best, but we also have to express ourselves and talk to people honestly and communicate and all, so that we actually align with what is the best, because we do deserve the best, but we've got to really act accordingly, like I said. So that is the message I want to end the podcast with. Yeah, thank you guys again. Yeah, so we're gonna end it now, but I see. Yeah, thank you, Hazel. Thank you for the clap. Thank you, Deborah. I want to hear from you next time, Deborah. Alright. Well, thank you guys. I'm sending you so much love. I'll see you again very soon.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye, bisous.